Generally Famous is proudly brought to you by Trade Depot. Generally famous for saving Kiwis thousands. Call into one of the stores or visit online at tradedepot.co.nz. Kia ora, Aotearoa, and welcome to Generally Famous. I'm Simon Bridges, and every week I talk to generally famous but always interesting guests about life, love, and what makes them tick. Today, singer, songwriter, and guitarist, New Zealand's answer to Ed Sheeran. I just put that in there. I don't know. Mitch James, it's been amazing to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, brother. It's great to be here.
How are you?
I'm very well. It's been a very full-on couple months. I've been on tour and had a week off in New Zealand, which happened to be album release, so not a week off at all. But yeah, I'm loving life.
Oh, so when you weren't in New Zealand, where were you? Where have you last been?
I've been all over Europe, UK, Ireland, and just finished Asia. So started off in Estonia, finished in Singapore, and it's still got another month to go. So it's been full on.
Amazing. And though that said, do you enjoy that? I mean, I'm sure you enjoy it, but is it? I suppose what I'm trying to say is, like, people used to say to me as a politician, areas, planes and all this, like, but by the end of it, I was just like, I would just like to be at home watching Netflix by myself, you know, with a Big Mac or something. I mean,
100%.
Is it, or, yeah?
Yeah, no, it's not all rainbows and fairy bread. It's there's a lot of early, I mean, like, for example, 3 days that I just had in Asia, I finished at the venue at 11, had a 2 a.m. wake-up call the next day, flight, and then get to the venue in time for sound check, finish up at 11, next day was 3 a.m., and the day after that was 2:30 a.m. So it's like, you know, it's very full-on, lots of planes, lots of waiting in lines, and but yeah, I mean, it makes it all worth it when you get to do what you love. So, I mean, as cliched as it is, it's the truth.
There are moments of sheer glamour, I'm sure. You're up on stage, there's a gazillion people in front of you. That's
about as glamorous as it's got on this tour that I've been on. And maybe some room service. That's about it.
Yeah. What's your go-to on the old room service?
Oh, this place in Jakarta had insanely good sashimi, which was
I bet
and dumplings. Sashimi and dumplings are usually my go-to.
Because you're anywhere. A sucker for dumplings. I feel like someone's done some good research on
so clearly
chicken
we have.
Something or other in dumplings, or have I just made that up?
Yeah, no, pork and chive dumplings. They're the go-to.
I'm not going to psychoanalyse you too much, so don't worry,
Simon.
So you grew up in Auckland and you went to St Kentigern's, sort of fine school for fine young men or whatever, probably its Latin
allegedly
motto is. And the only reason I raise that is because, like, I don't know, that doesn't sound to me like where musical inspiration and genius normally comes from. It's normally like grew up. You know,
it's a middle management farm. St. Ken's is a middle management farm. But Sorry to interrupt. You keep going.
No. Well, I was just going to ask you. Is that it doesn't seem like it would be conducive to where you are now?
Yeah,
you could have been an accountant or something.
I think that's like I said, most people at my school are sort of bred to be in that sort of realm. But yeah, I sort of fell out with my parents when I was going through high school, and long story short, that sort of led me down a path of getting very creative, and I was sort of for the most part out there on my own. So it was my way of making sense of the world and my way of therapy, I guess.
What did your parents do? What were they? Were they that middle management you talk about, or
no? My mum, she's just stopped running a charity, which is essentially Make-A-Wish for palliative care adult patients.
Amazing.
And my dad was a director at a land surveying company.
And are you back in with them, or is it?
Yes. Yeah. No, it took me up until I think it was about 21 or 22 when I found out my mum was very sick, that we sort of realised we're just being idiots and life's too short and we all need to come together. So for the last 5 or so years, we're happy families again, which is great, and very grateful for that.
Families can be complicated.
Yes.
There's no doubt. And so when you talk about, you know, I don't think you use this word, but, you know, you fell out with your parents, is going to say dysfunction there. On what sort of level are we talking? And was it your fault if you look back on it, or was it them being too restrictive on you, or what?
Yeah, I think probably a bit of both. It was definitely my fault in a lot of ways. Like, basically, I was going through a rough time at school, and and weed was sort of my my happy place at the time.
We're not talking grass clippings here.
No, we're not. We're talking the wacky tobacco. And at the time, it was very much like
the ganja, the cannabis, the marijuana, the I could probably go on. I used to be a criminal lawyer. I did my first trials were cannabis cultivation trials.
Oh my goodness!
In the Bay of Plenty, in the Eastern Bay.
Oh my goodness!
So
they have a strain name.
Theoretically, I know quite a lot about cannabis.
Yeah. So basically, it was like a place where I could feel happy was getting stoned with my mates, and so I'd come home and my parents weren't a fan of that, and so that sort of led to us disagreeing on a lot of levels, and I was so unhappy that it was my only source of happiness at the time, so right. I wasn't willing to substitute that for anything at the time. And so that sort of led us down a pretty bad path because my parents at the time were very conservative in their beliefs towards it. And, times change and everyone sort of has an understanding now as adults. But, yeah, at the time it was, my family had other things going on as well. So it just added fuel to the fire and, bless them. They didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to deal with it. And it sort of it led me down that path of being creative and basically chasing my own dreams no matter what.
Because at around the same time, you are... you find music. I mean, is that
yeah?
And you, what happens? You pick up a guitar. Run me through it.
Basically, yeah. I mean, like I said, I was going through a bit of a rough time, and so I didn't really have too many friends. So at school at lunchtime, I'd pick up the guitar and go on YouTube and start to learn some chords, and basically that's how it all started. I was at a crossroads in my life with baseball, which was my original dream. And I sort of realised that, for a number of reasons that it might not pan out the way that I wanted to. And so I was at this crossroads and I was, enjoying playing music in my spare time. And I went to an Ed Sheeran show and I saw, if this ginger dude from Suffolk can do it. Yeah, I can do it. So it came at the right time and my love for it was still building, but it was still a very personal thing that I didn't want to share with anyone at that time. But it was definitely the genesis of it all.
Yeah. Rod Stewart sort of had to make a fateful choice, I believe, between like professional football and music. And he went down the music. So, he
made the right choice. I don't know if he's got that athletic frame anymore. Oh, Roddy.
Well, but he
can still work it. He can still work it.
He's not as young as he was. So guitar, you self-taught?
Yeah, essentially. It was YouTube.
And where do you reckon that the inspiration then was coming from? Like, because you were, am I right or have made this up? You were writing songs even then?
Yeah, they were fucking awful.
Yeah, you wouldn't, they weren't, they're not making your next album.
No, they're not even close. But yeah, I think, like I said, it was very personal for me at the time. And I think the drive came from, I wasn't having a good time at school. I didn't have many mates. I didn't have anything really going for me, and I always believed that I could be something. So I think at that time there was definitely a sense of fuck you, I'm gonna prove myself to everyone.
Sounds like a Rage Against the Machine song.
Yeah, yeah. Except
I'm
in
just
a very poppy way.
All throughout this, I'm just going to lamely reference music to show that I do know something. If you think about you and music, was it? Don't be bashful here. I really like to know from your perception which you think is. Were you natural? Was it just like a fish in water, or was it more hard graft? Because either can get you there.
I think the only one thing that is God-given in music is your tone of voice. But, your pitch in terms of like what notes and your range and stuff like that, it's and especially guitar. And learning to sing and play at the same time, all of that is hard work. But like your tone of voice is the only thing that you're given and you can't really change. But in that sense, it was definitely a gift, but everything else was hours and hours and hours. And even singing and playing guitar at the same time is a lot harder than people would think. So, even to master that probably took me, 2,000-3,000 hours to even get to a point where I could just do it in front of someone.
You at, 16, 17, you literally bugger off to London. And what seems kind of interesting to me is that it was not rags to riches, it's sort of riches to rags, right? I mean, not saying, your family's uber rich, but you know what I mean? Like, you've gone from private school, and then here you are, and you're on the bones of your ass in London. Have I got that right? Or
Yeah, more or less. So, like I said before, I still wasn't really talking to my family that much at that time. So, I had this big dream, and
do you think they approved of you going to London?
I don't know, to be honest. I feel like my parents didn't really understand the magnitude of what I was trying to do until they heard my song on the radio, which would have been 4 or 5 years after that. So I think for the most part, I think my parents thought I was going to be a heroin addict ending up in jail for a very long time. It was a very long journey to prove them wrong, I guess, in a sense, which isn't obviously a great way of looking at life, but that's how I looked at it back then. I went over to London, and nothing really could get in my way. I didn't have any distractions. I didn't have, I didn't really have family distractions. I didn't have friend distractions. I didn't have girl distractions. It was all just, let's go and attack this and make sure it happens. And there was a lot of challenges and a lot more downs than there were ups, but it's sort of where I cut my teeth, and I wouldn't be here without that period of my life for sure.
How did you attack it? What did you kind of, were you busking? Were you, what run me through how that worked?
Busking virtually every day, playing 1, sometimes 2.
Did you get much money from that?
No, I mean, not in London. London, you're looking at 30, 40 quid on a good day.
Whereabouts in London were you? Where were you standing? Same place every time?
No.
Outside St James Tube Station?
I didn't have a license, but basically, so I was very nomadic with it, but basically all around central London, like Piccadilly, Leicester Square, and all of that was, it's where all the people are, so you gotta be on your toes as a busker with no license, because if you get pulled up twice in a day, it's typically you get thrown in the slammer, so I was on my toes, but yeah, I was playing 1 or 2 open mic nights virtually every night. 85% of the time you're just getting a free meal and a free beer, but sometimes you'll get a business card of someone, blah, blah, blah. But it was very much just trying to get my name out there while also getting my hours of practice up and making sure that I'd be ready for moments like I experienced today.
And were you doing your own stuff? Or you
not really, no. Especially not busking. No one.
They're not going to give you money. They're not going to spend enough time there to work out that this is quite a soulful song by Mitch James.
Yeah, no, they just want to hear Wonderwall.
Well, not all of them, as we've discussed off here, but we won't go there. Okay, and were you scared at moments over there? I mean, I'm not say, but you're 17, 18 or whatever you are. You're by yourself. You were.
Yeah, I mean, I had some very sketchy moments there. I mean, I've seen things that most humans shouldn't see, just being exposed to it sort of on the streets. And, without going into too many details, there was definitely times where I was very scared. And, sleeping without a roof in itself is generally quite scary. But
you ever get beaten up?
Yeah, actually, I got beaten up at a pub in West Ham. But I probably deserved that, to be fair.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I've seen some things, and especially in London and Amsterdam, that were pretty hectic. But there was definitely moments where I was scared, but I felt like nothing was ever going to get in the way of why I came to do it, and that was to spread a message through music. And brilliant. Yeah, we got there eventually. I'd like to think.
How? I think I know something around a phone, and you that going well. I mean, how did you what's your first break?
Yeah, so I had a massive night with one of my friends in Mallorca, and I was trying to busk in Mallorca, and I realized that
just alcohol, Mitch.
No comment. So I think that people know what I'm saying. I was busking in Mallorca, and I realized that Spanish people are not going to give any money to people singing English. So we had this big night, and it was a bit of a reflective time. And so we got quite naughty, and we we woke up the next morning. I've never been so hungover, etc. in my life, and I basically looked at my mate and I was like, I've got nothing to lose now, man. Like, because it felt like we were kind of close to death the night before. So like, we got nothing to lose. I'm gonna start my music page up. I'm gonna put up videos, and if people don't like it, then I guess I suck, and I just need to get over my own fears. And so I would have put up 4 or 5 of these videos, and all of them went super well. And then I think it was the 4th one, Sony Music had come across it somehow, and they liked it. They asked me if I had any original songs that they could send through. I sent through a couple, and they liked it, and basically that's how I went from busking to having a deal.
And I think I'm right, you're then back touring in your V-dub combi.
Yeah. It was
sort of the first, in quotes, official tour?
Yes, it was. It was funny because we rented that combi because my mate drew up this tour poster with me in a combi, and it looked real cool, and we're like, you know what, let's do it in a combi. Got it all, kitted up and whatnot, and it didn't last the whole tour because it broke down about 4 times. But yeah, it was a fun little tour, that one, and it was, very small, and everyone who went to that tour, the Humble Roadie tour, is definitely an OG. I'd only had 1 or 2 songs out at the time, and I was very fresh, but it was a great first experience to get on the road properly and see this is how it runs on the non-open mic side.
And what was that? Was that like going through pubs or just finding a...
Yeah, it was mostly pubs. It was like your venues like Meow in Wellington, which is like a 300 sort of cap venue, which was one of my favourite gigs ever.
I'm relatively proud that I actually know about this.
Yeah, Meow's a good one. And, I can't remember what it's called now, but in Auckland it's down in the viaduct. It's sort of those pubby sort of ones that are like / music venue. And sorry, you were saying to me, Meow, you're proud of that one? I loved that gig. It was fun. Yeah, it was very fun. That's all I'll say. Because I presume you sort of there's a point in time where you just feel like you're at one with the crowd and the music, and it's like everyone's together on it or something. Yeah, it's a feeling that I can't really describe. It's the best feeling in the world, and when I'm on stage, I don't really remember the actual details, but I remember the feeling of what it was, and you're just so lost in that connection at the time that, if you're thinking about anything else, it sort of takes away from the genuine moment that you're experiencing. So I try and get as lost as possible in that, and it's a really good feeling. And I'll come off stage and I'll be like, wow, that was really great, or wow, that was really shit, but I can't remember the ins and outs of it. But I would what would worry me with that is that, not worry me, I'm never in danger of experiencing any of this, but we can get you up there if you want. Well, let's not go there. Is the high from that, right? And then you come off, and the endomorphins or whatever they are racing through you. How do you recover? And then you're back, like you say, your hotel by yourself. And we know, without getting too, what's his name? The Foo Fighters drummer, for example. These guys, and they're there by themselves, and bad things kind of happen. And I can sort of understand that, or begin to. Yeah, it's a funny one. I feel like there's no drug or feeling that can make you feel the high of being on stage. It's so incomparable and such a high. I'm lucky that my band that I usually play with, they're great to hang out with, and we don't talk too much about the show. We're just friends and family, essentially. And so, is there a regime afterwards? You go to a small pub, or you all sitting there eating corn dogs back at the barracks, or what? It depends. Like this, if I'm with my band and it's my tour and we have time, we definitely go to the shittiest bar in town and have some drinks and have a laugh. But on a tour like the one that I'm on currently, where it's every day, it's pretty regimented. Yeah, it's basically I'm by myself on this tour as well, so I get off stage, I watch the other show, I go back to my hotel, go to sleep, wake up and do it all over again. And I feel like the moment you stop enjoying it for what it is the moment that it starts to get a bit dangerous. And I haven't experienced the loss of love for what I do just yet. And so I'm totally fine and happy going to bed straight after the show, waking up at 2 a.m. for the lobby call or whatever it is, because I know that it's such a special feeling for me and it's something that I don't take for granted. But, I can tell that, and I've met people as well that, unfortunately, like Taylor Hawkins, rest in peace, I can get the best of them and they search for other things to sort of supplement that, what they're missing out of their normal life.
That heightened experiential level.
Yes, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, everyone misses home when they're on the road as well. And I guess sometimes people are looking to dull out that sadness inside, that they might not be able to see their kids, their wife, their family, or their friends. And I feel that all the time. I miss my family and miss my friends when I'm on the road. But like I said, I'm still in the midst of just loving every moment of it, and very grateful from where I've come from to be here. So, touch wood, I stay clean.
No, good on you. It's very insightful what you're saying. And now you got how many albums?
This is my second one.
And by the way, are albums dead? I mean, aren't we just kind of cruising Spotify? Cruising's probably not the right word. But
I think it's headed that way, but I believe, as an artist, it's sort of about how you view it. And I'm like a storyteller, and I want to tell a bunch of stories within a certain framework. And so I feel like I'm an album artist, if you will. And a lot of artists right now with the Spotify thing, they're just song here, song there, song there. And that's all good, but it doesn't really tell a congruent story. And I'm all about that. So I think the albums that I tend to listen to and love are bodies of work, if you will, rather than just 10 random songs.
So your latest album, Patience, right?
Yes.
Do you feel you've got a sort of an overarching theme, story going on there that you've thought through?
Yeah, I think the way I like to put it is that my first album was like a boy, essentially, and the journey into a young manhood. And then this album, over the last 4 years, is from me being a young man into like a man. And I think, the first song and the last song, the first song is Motions, and I'm saying I'm very lost. And then in the last song, Bullet Holes, the last line of the entire album is, well, I've got to move on. And so I feel like I'm telling the story of, being a young adult and having all these problems and realizing the only way through it is to move on. But in the middle of it, there's highs and lows and party songs, sad songs, breakup songs.
Yeah.
And it's sort of just a chronological look at my last 4 years. And if people can take inspiration from that, or if they can connect with that, then I'm doing my job right.
What's your writing process? I mean, again, like what I was asking, how much is kind of, you got it, or is this a 2-minute thing or a 2-month thing to write a song?
It depends. I've written a song as quick as 15 minutes, which is actually a song on the album called Stone Cold Sober. And sometimes it's just magic and it just works like that. And that was one of those magic moments. Myself and Machu from 660, he started playing some chords, and then 15 minutes later you have a song. And then there's a song like Armageddon, which is on the album, which took like 7 different structures and then took overall about 2.5 years to get from first writing it to literally finishing it. So there's a massive, massive discrepancy in how it goes, but generally speaking, I think if you're looking at the median, it'll take 4 to 6 hours, and you do it in one day, and you're with a couple other songwriters, and that's generally speaking how it goes. But yeah, you got your two extremes.
Inspiration
on the other side.
And perspiration.
Yes, I would definitely agree.
And you're because I said it before, and I don't know where you like it, but you've toured with Ed Sheeran. Mm-hmm. I presume you've met him.
Yes,
you know him, and you're your own thing, and you've definitely. And I actually prefer what you're doing, but do you accept it's Ed Sheeran-esque?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be lying if I said Ed wasn't my original number one inspiration. found his album Plus when I was in my second to last year of boarding school, and it was, no one knew Ed Sheeran wasn't Ed Sheeran like he is today.
No.
And
Because
so-
he had the busking story, didn't he? Or have
yeah,
made that up?
I mean,
think so.
I basically copied his blueprint, to be honest. And yeah, I remember finding it and really connecting with it, and it was like my little secret. And I was like, this is so awesome. I connect with these songs, I connect with this music. And then he obviously blew up to become what he was. But he
Good
is,
guy,
sorry.
or because he just
Great
strikes
guy.
me. He
Great
strikes
guy.
me as very focused.
Yes.
I mean, I would. Do you accept this? It's my view, but I don't. I'm not into these things at the level that you are. I feel like there's a bit of sellout to supermarket pop jingles. There was soul there, and now it's kind of like, how can I make a shitload of money from some cheesy song that they're going to play at Christmas time in the freaking supermarket? You don't want to get yourself in trouble.
No, I don't want to get myself in trouble. I love Ed.
You
I love
can
Ed,
claim that you've already done no comp. You can claim the Fifth Amendment if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going back to, he's writing an album that's headed back to the original roots. And I think, as artists, you're always trying to evolve. And I've been trying to do it with my sound as well. And naturally, it can head into that when you're
Jingly stuff.
Yeah, when you're in pop music, you toe the line, I guess.
The other one that's done that, by the way, is Elton John. I mean, I grew up, my brother had his my brother Peter, I'd go up to his studio, it's not studio, but it's his room, and he was a tech guy. He'd spent a lot of money on his LP, whatever you call it. He had every Elton record, and I would scratch the shit out of them, putting down the needle and playing the songs I like. I loved Elton. But, I mean, it's peak Elton when he's doing these sort of jingly things with, who's his latest one? Britney Spears, is it?
Yeah.
It's just about money. He's just trying to pay for the florist.
I was just about to say that, because I've heard from numerous people that Elton has got like a mad flower thing going on.
Well, it's funny, but I must admit, I'm not giving you a new thought right now, because I put this in my book, National Identity, great book, by the way. It's still in print if you want to get on there. By a wonderful author. No, but here's the point. So I said in the book, because I went to Elton with my children and my wife.
Is this the last tour?
Yes.
Yeah.
And $400 a ticket, right? This is very bourgeoisie, okay? Where they're sitting
Yes,
there with
it
a lot
is.
of, and I get it. He was unwell, but he didn't finish
you into that
set.
one, you poor bastard.
And so we'd spent a lot of money here, but the point of all of this, I wrote something like an offhand line in the book about how he still paid for his forest or whatever. He spends hundreds of grand, like a week sometimes, on the flowers.
See, people, when I tell them that story, they're like, yeah, you're like clearly glossing that story up. And I'm like, no, like I've heard from some very reliable people that it's literally hundreds of thousands of pounds a week on flowers.
He loves the flowers.
Clearly.
My goodness. Beauty is important, but there's a lot of money on flowers.
I like candles. I can, but I don't see myself spending $100,000 a week on them.
So I know, because you have sort of Tuesdays where you're kind of, it's about you're detoxing, you're relaxing.
Tuesday.
Self-care Tuesday. I like it. And so there's a touch of Elton.
I mean,
they're not costing you hundreds of thousands of pounds.
Yeah, I think self-care Tuesdays.
I mean, there's the odd pedicure.
Yeah, look, there. I mean, my nails are sparkling right now.
They are, actually.
But yeah, they actually are. I mean, it's usually like a massage, therapy, and sometimes I'll get the mani-pedi.
Wonderful.
But I also get the suction cups. I'm a very very active person.
I've never done that. I do love but that would be, is that sore?
I mean, I kind of like the pain without sounding like a psycho. But
sounds like another song. There's a song in that.
Oh yeah, trust me. There's. I think if people don't get that I'm some kind of sucker for pain by listening to my albums, they don't have to see me get suction cup to realize that.
So you've toured with Ed Sheeran, you've 660. What's it like going with these big bands? And who are some of the better kind of big characters you've met and you liked, and you say, yeah, they are a top individual or group of individuals?
Yeah, so I'm on tour with Callum Scott right now, and I mean, Ed and the 660 boys, set the bar high of what it is to be a professional and a great person to be around on the road. But Callum is, I mean, trust me, I've been around, for just as many good people I've been around in this industry, I've been around some wankers too. And Callum is the greatest human being that I've met in this game. He looks after me so much every day. We spend time together. He really wants to see me win on the global scale. And I mean, like I said, Ed and the 660 boys have been great for me, and I've always looked up to them. But Callum in this tour I'm on now has been something out of this world, and I'm so grateful to see someone in the industry who has such a big stature to genuinely believe in me, because it's real easy to be nice to people and, be happy days or whatever, but there's a difference between being nice and really wanting to see you win. So it's been amazing to be on tour with Callum, and I mean, it's only got a few weeks left and I'm going to miss him, but it's been amazing to be with him for sure.
Fantastic. Well, the warm weather has finally arrived, and that means outdoor living, looking for cooler indoors, and breaking out possibly the tool belt for all your DIY and home improvement projects. Yep, you might be one of the many thousands of Kiwis thinking about those home improvement jobs. Trade Depot is your one-stop shop, whatever you're up to. With over 4,500, that's right, 4,500 quality home improvement projects across bathrooms, kitchens, appliances, and much, much more. Trade Depot has you sorted for any project. And most appliances have a 2-year warranty. Trade Depot is 100% New Zealand owned. They understand where you're coming from. They believe you don't have to pay a premium for good quality products. But neither should you throw your money away on low quality items. And the more you spend, the more you save. Get 4% off orders over $2,500 and up to 8% off for orders over $8,000. T's and C's apply. Get more bang for your buck with low prices always at Trade Depot. Check out tradedepot.co.nz or call into one of their 3 stores, Auckland, Christchurch and the new superstore in Hamilton near the airport. Look, because we're talking music and taste and all of these things, flowers, florists,
candles,
cup suction, candles.
fragrances.
I like all that. I don't know this cup suction, but I like the candles. My wife has got me into that. Let's do a quick fire and a few important questions.
Yeah.
Favourite band?
Oasis.
Yes, no, I thought you'd say that. I differ, but look, who am I to...
We're all opinions are valid.
And you are a top artist, so that you're entitled to have that, albeit erroneous view. Favourite solo artist?
Favourite solo artist? I mean, there's so many good ones. I guess it's going to have to be Ed if we're talking all time.
Yeah.
I listen to many other solo artists a lot, and probably haven't listened to Ed as much as I would have back in the day, but I think due to the influence and everything and personal influence that he's had on not only my career but my life as well, has got to be the great man.
And haven't been a bit mean about him. I mean, he is, what is it about him? He is like Elton, having been mean about him too, they are exceptionally good songwriters.
Yes, I mean, Ed is prolific as hell, and the way he writes a song is, he doesn't really take too much time with it. He just blurts it out, and if it works and if it's a hit, which 9 times out of 10 it is, that's how he works, and it's just very quick fire. I think what makes him special is like the human behind it, because to be achieving at such a high level and have so many things going on that you have to be on top of, he is still super professional, super down to earth, and very humble for the biggest star in the world. So It was a great example to set, because like I said, I've been on tours with people who are not even a speck of dust in comparison to what he's achieved, and they're just complete assholes.
Favourite or most admired guitarist? I mean, yourself as a very accomplished player, what's your...
This is going to sound like a cop-out, but actually my guitar player, Kenji, is the best guitar player I've ever seen in my entire life.
Right.
And I've never been too much of like a fanboy over the guitar player guy.
Right.
But I'm going to have to say Kenji there.
You play the guitar. Other instruments?
I play the piano two hands.
Right.
Well, you're meant to do two hands. I play one hand with two hands. So
Yep.
I'm very. I would say a 5-year-old has with 2 weeks of lessons has a better piano.
Right. Well, there's been some
skill
good
range than
songs
me.
written like that, though. From some not particularly accomplished pianists. And just on guitars, you give them names.
Yes.
How many you got?
I mean, that's a good question. I've had a few stolen this year, actually. I currently have 3. Not too much of a hoarder.
And you name them?
So I've got Ross, which is a Taylor. So it's
Brilliant.
Ross Taylor. I've got Chris, which is a Martin. So Chris Martin, both cricketer names there. And then I have Rick, which is a I don't know. It's a Fender electric guitar. I don't know if Rick Fender means anything, but I just called him Rick.
Brilliant. You should have told me at the start about life as a pop star, and it's not all beer and skittles, and it's got its issues. But high level, what's your experience of being a fair dinkum real pop star? We don't have many
Yeah.
in Aotearoa, New Zealand.
Yeah, it's definitely not what people think it is. It's like, especially on the road, and the more hectic tours, it's work really. And if you want to indulge in the fame and you want to indulge in the ego, it's very easy to. Like, there was definitely a time right after my first album where I was bathing in that side of things, and I just think through experience and through just learning, and I think you come to a lot of crossroads where you're like, do I want to keep being that person, because that person is likely going to end up alone at the end of the day when no one cares anymore. But yeah, you might have been very hedonistic in that time frame, but I've always looked at things from a long-term perspective, and I think before things started going well for me, I was always a very white picket fence dream kind of guy. Yeah, just I think a little too much indulging in certain aspects that are the stereotypical pop star or rock star ones. The drinks, the drugs, the girls. Like, once you've explored that, you kind of have a decision to make: is this my identity, or is this just going to be a phase that I've gone through, experienced, and do I want to grow? And so I've really looked at myself pretty hard over the last 4 years, and I think naturally you just get led down the path of what your destiny is meant to be. And I've chosen to ease up on the
carnal
drugs and
pleasures.
girls. Yeah.
Are you?
Not to say that I haven't totally.
You don't want to ruin you don't want to ruin your kind of music cred overly, right?
No, exactly.
It's a fine line.
Yeah, exactly.
But what you were saying to me off here, you're if I can put it this way, this is my very sort of, I don't know, Protestant way of saying it, but you're a cleaner living chap today than you have been.
Cleaner. Yeah, I mean, like I was,
as massages and pedicures these days.
Yeah, I mean, it's only because I do work very hard on every day that isn't a Tuesday. There was times back.
And you're taking care of yourself. I mean, you got some guns there.
I'm trying.
They don't come alone.
Yeah.
That takes work.
I mean, there was a time, like I said, when I was indulging too much, where I would have been drinking 3 or 4 times a week, and just getting into that side of things too much, and I was out of shape, and my daily routine was non-existent. But when I was home and not on tour or working, it was just unhealthy habits. And so now it's a completely 180. Like, if I'm in Auckland and I'm not doing any work, like, I wake up early, I go for a 10K run, then I get home, and then I go to the gym, and then I go eat something really nice, then do something productive for the afternoon, go do boxing in the evening. And it's completely different to sitting home smoking weed all day and then going out for a drink at night. It's
great for your mental health as well, not just your physical.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that obviously mental health is just as important, if not more important than physical health.
Well, and one thing we're saying, thing about music, I mean, a lot of it is a mind game. It's not just it's much more than all that other stuff. And you are you're properly successful, right? I mean, if I go on Spotify, your song's got over 60 million hits, some of them, that's more than just New Zealand, right? There's a lot going on there. So do you feel like you've made it yet?
No, not even close. I mean, my whole view about that has completely changed over the last few years, I think, coinciding with what we were just talking about. Like, I always used to look at the numbers every day and check, how many million is it at, blah, blah, blah. And I feel like it's just unhealthy and unsustainable because if things start going south and you're basing all your value on that, it's a pretty slippery, steep slope. So, yeah, I mean, but in saying that, I do have goals that I want to set, and I would like to be, I think my mission statement now is more about trying to positively affect as many people as I can rather than looking at the numbers. But I think I'd be lying if I said there wasn't metrics to sort of bring that up against. And I would like to be at the level that I'm at in New Zealand virtually everywhere else.
At the level you're at now, does that make you a wealthy person?
No.
No, and so let me ask you this, because this is my shtick, right? So you're doing, amazing, and it's not making you a gazillionaire, but you're doing well. The trajectory could keep going, but there's a tendency, and I could name some Kiwi artists who've been great, but I won't. That the other side of it is, at 59, you'll be playing pubs, drunk and tired and alone before you go back to not the 5-star hotel, but the shitty pub room.
But before we answer
I don't know what the question is, but
I've got to say, I do love Grand Central on a Friday, and if I'm 59 and playing there, I'm still kind of doing something right.
Yeah,
but only because I like getting drunk and singing karaoke there. But I think I guess to sort of loop back to that, I think the money that gets made for my life is in shows, and there was a time before COVID.
It is in shows.
Yes,
that's what Spotify etc's done, right?
More or less, yeah. I mean, Spotify don't pay well, if at all, but they give you a platform to go and bring your music to the world, if you want to look at it in a positive light. And so, I wouldn't have, songs that have been certified in Denmark and Sweden and Australia if it wasn't for Spotify. But at the same time, I make all of my money through live shows. And so that little thing called COVID was a real ball ache because I haven't really been able to play any shows for 3 years. And this tour that I'm on supporting is a great opportunity. So I'm actually losing money to be on this tour. But before COVID, I was getting some pretty damn good money for shows. It's just that I haven't really played any shows. It can come again. Since then. Yeah.
It'll come again.
I hope so, because...
great for the punter, though, actually. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff coming through the country at the moment over the next few months.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's all in shows, and I haven't had the opportunity to play shows for about 3 years. So the fact that I've made it through is a bit of a miracle, to be honest.
Yeah.
But but hopefully some more shows on the horizon. But when you get to that level like I'm at in New Zealand, the money is good when there is shows. But it's the challenge is to get to that level everywhere else. And you have to get a few foots through the door, whether it's opening for someone or getting some company to put the song on an ad or something like that. It's all a bit of a complicated process, but I think the goal is to get to a similar level in these different countries where I have a live presence, and then I know that once I get on stage, it's pretty easy for me to win people over because it's what I do.
Fantastic. Mitch James, drink, drugs, wild living, slightly cleaner now. If we come back in 12 years or 9 years or 20 years, is it going to be Mitch James, solid partner, 3 children, white picket fence?
100%. And hopefully sooner than 9 years.
Yeah.
Ladies?
Is there a special
DMs.
someone in the... Is there a special someone in your life, or am I asking you a compromising question?
No, I'm an open book, Simon.
Then why the pause?
Trying to figure out how to put it the right way. I'm on the hunt. I'm on the hunt.
Wonderful. I don't know where to go from that. So we're going to keep moving. Hey, I'm going to wrap up by asking the questions we ask every guest. It's a section we call general knowledge. What single object would you say from your house?
All pets and
don't give me anything. Don't give me anything animate. Don't give me anything that's breathing.
We're talking. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Probably my laptop. It's just got all my stuff on it. Is that way too practical of an answer?
That's okay. I mean, it's what
we're looking
it's
for
somewhat
more sentimental.
Look, it's somewhat disappointing, but it's what you've given, right? I mean,
I feel like I've blown that. I feel like it needs to be sentimental now that I look back. I was way too practical about it.
You should have given me a special musical instrument or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I just thought I could buy another guitar.
Is a ridiculously expensive guitar like a lot better than a $450 one or $780 one?
I don't really, like we said off here, I'm not really a nerd about any of that stuff, but from my personal experience, I found like $0 to like $800 is kind of crappy, and then 8,000 to like 2.5. Oh, sorry, 800 to like 2.5. They're all pretty good quality, and then I've never been able to afford to play anything north of that, but I can't imagine that they'd be that much better, to be honest.
No. Becomes a bit more intangible. Look, this is a question you can't muff, mate. Okay, so
no
you
pressure.
need to give me a good one straight off the bat. What's the best night out you've ever had?
Oh, you know that I'm going to muffle over that. There's so many good ones. The best night out ever. Oh, shit. I think recency bias for sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes, it's the nights that unexpected. And so I had a very eclectic crew of different mates from different crews in at Grand Central on a Friday. This must have been like 3 months ago. And there was honestly nothing that special about it apart from it was just ridiculous. And I was up there singing karaoke and just good friends, good times. Oh, we end up going to Family Bar that night as well.
And just on the karaoke, are there people like sort of walking by saying, "Oh, he's quite good"?
I think so. But I kind of purposely put on the karaoke voice, you know what I mean?
As in sort of a bit of crooning? Or...
It's not like, it's more like, a bit of drunken, whey.
Right.
But yeah, it's, Grand Central is, I'm just giving them free shout outs here, but mate, some of the best nights of my life in that joint.
And for the uninitiated, like myself, who live lives of quiet, middle-class, blameless excellence, Grand Central
Can't wait for that, by the way.
is a bar in Ponsonby.
Ponsonby Road, yes. My drummer plays there every Friday night, which is kind of what drags me in. And
so if I go there on the average, you've told us you're on the hunt. I mean, if I'm an aspiring contender to Mitch James, the 3 children, and the white picket fence, I need to go to Grand Central at about 8:45 p.m. on a Friday.
No, 8:45. You won't find me at 8:45.
Is that right?
You'll find me more like 11:45.
God, I have really shown how middle class and old I am, haven't I?
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but yeah, no.
What are you doing before then? What's happening at 8:45?
Oh, there's pre-workout.
What's the best advice given to you, and who gave it?
Oh, again, these are real tough. There's been a bunch just from people that I really look up to. But again, probably recency bias. I was with Callum Scott just a few days ago, actually, and we were on our way out of Singapore, and we were basically just talking about the ups and downs of this industry and how you can be the hot thing one day and the next day you're struggling to get what you feel like you deserve, and basically it was just really nice to hear from someone who I respect so much to sort of hammer home what I've been telling myself this whole time is just perseverance and belief in yourself is it can trump anything. I was in a bit of a vulnerable moment where I was kind of feeling like I was struggling a bit with the lead up to the album, And yeah, I think it just reinforced that belief and perseverance. And I think, if anyone's familiar with my story, it kind of shines through the whole time, is that there's been many, many times where I could give up and just do a normal life, a normal job. But, if you want a dream and you want it bad enough, you're going to have to stick through all the highs and lows and the peaks and the valleys and just stick at it no matter what. So, paraphrasing very longly, but that's wonderful. Basically what he was saying.
Or in the words of Winston Churchill, never, never, never give up.
Exactly. Winnie, the man.
Mitch James, definitely better than Ed Sheeran, even if he has some dubious taste in music like Oasis.
Let it go, Simon. Let it go.
Thoroughly good bloke. It's been great to have you on Generally
Great to be
Famous.
Here. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
You've been listening to Generally Famous. There's a new episode every Wednesday. You can listen to them all at stuff.co.nz/generallyfamous, or wherever you get your podcasts. In fact, if you follow us on Apple or Spotify, any of the podcast apps, in fact, you'll get the latest episode automatically. Sounds good, right?
Buy Simon's book, stream my album.
Exactly. Thanks to my producers, and go to Grand Central.
Grand Central on a Friday. I'm taking applications.
11 some PM. Thanks to my producers, Chris Reed and Jen Black. I'm Simon Bridges. I really appreciate you listening. Generally Famous is proudly brought to you by Trade Depot. Generally famous for low prices, always.